True Gangsters of Yesterday presents the Casso Files Episode 1, Part 2.
Lucchese family versus the Gambino family, Gotti and Gravano versus Vic Amuso and Anthony Casso from business associates to sworn enemies over the unsanctioned hit on Paul Castellano. Before the hit on Big Paul, Castellano, Gaspipe and Amuso associated with the Gotti crew. But after they hit Big Paul, the Lucchese family underboss and boss would hunt down numerous members of the Gotti crew and kill all of them. Fortunately, Gotti would walk away unscathed.
Gravano would also walk away unscathed, but unfortunately Frankie DeChico was car-bombed in front of both of them with Gaspipe, and little Vic down the block watching as they used a remote control to set off the explosives. As DeChico entered the vehicle, the bomb went off. Gravano tried to run out and pull his longtime friend to safety, but it was too late. Not much was left of Frankie DeChico as Gravano struggled to get him out of the burning bomb vehicle. DeChico was dead for his involvement in killing Paul Castellano.
This was the work of deadly and ruthless underboss Casso and his boss Vic Amuso aka Little Vic.
The aftermath of Gotti's decision to kill Big Paul would result in John Gotti's personal bodyguard and Junior Gotti's one-time underboss shot and killed in front of his home. Casso would take credit for the murder of Bobby. Oddly enough, when Casso turned informant, he would tell the FBI that he killed Roy DeMeo, when legend has it that the Gemini twins and Nino Gaggi killed Roy. But with Casso's close ties to the Gemini twins, I believe Casso did participate in the killing of Gambino capo Roy DeMeo. Also, the twins were also a part of the Gambinos at one time. Bobby Borriello would also work for others in his younger years, such as the Gallos. Casso confessed to the involvement of the murders of Frankie DeChico and Roy DeMeo of the Gambino family, and also confessed to the murder of Russian gangster Vladimir Reznikov and the attempted murder of the dapper Don John Gotti. Lastarino is a person of interest in the death of Borriello, but Gaspipe ordered the hit and, in my opinion, most likely participated in Borriello's death, along with his loyal Gemini twins that were once loyal to Roy DeMeo, another victim of Casso's. Also, Casso's mob cops allegedly played a role in the death of Bobby. Not sure what that role was. Sounds like the hit squad caught Bobby lacking outside his home. Allegedly, Casso or Lastarino shot Borriello twice in the head and 5 times in the torso. Bobby was found slumped over in the street in front of his home, laying next to his '91 Lincoln Town car. On Bay 29th Street in Brooklyn, his family was inside when he was whacked. Not in the car, but inside the home, were his kids and his wife. Casso is the former underboss of the powerful Lucchese crime family. He allegedly killed and ordered the deaths of 36 people that the government actually knows about. There could be more that the FBI just never learned about. A lesser-known tale to the public, but well-known story to the FBI and guys who were once in the street or part of the life. Casso had a man who was an architect design and build his home. After messing up a few things and demanding to be paid, Casso whacked the architect and paid him by clipping the builder. Another example, Casso was still ordering people killed and doing hits himself while cooperating with the government. In return, the FBI would rip up Casso's agreement as he had no limits when it came to murder. Casso would later regret working with the feds and taking a deal from them, only to have his deal wiped off the table and thrown out. Casso found himself boxed in. The government finally had him and Vic Amuso, and his deal wasn't as important as he thought, with star informants like Gravano ready to testify against bosses like the Chin and his former boss and a slew of others. Casso has ordered everyone from his opposition to a federal judge to a prosecutor to be whacked. The government, along with the judge, would toss the book at Casso, and he would never see the day of light, and his informant agreement was no longer valid. He was now in prison and labeled a rat, spending the rest of his life confined in a tiny cell. Casso would die in prison from COVID in 2020 on December 15th. Casso is a part of the 19th Hole crew and the Bypass gang, and was part of upper management within the Lucchese family, and both him and his former boss Vic Amuso also had seats on the commission. Don't get it misunderstood or twisted. Casso was no Gene Borello. He was a true gangster to the core. He flipped like most hardened criminals end up doing and regretted it. I will give a man credit where it's due. Gene Borello is a proud informant who has no qualms about being a rat. just like Casso had no qualms about being a gangster and would flip at the very end when shit hit the fan and he was caught while on the run. Gene Borello out of everyone should never been given any type of immunity. If they gave that Fink Gene immunity when he's the biggest liar in Fink in history, then the government should have at least honored Casso's deal they made with him. Instead, Casso fucked up by trusting the government. This would be a huge mistake by Casso, as these are the same people who have been after him his whole life. Why he trusted the FBI, we will never know, but he shouldn't have, because they just screwed him badly. Gotti always told his guys no plea deals, but did you know Gotti took a plea deal himself? Not sure what changed and why he wouldn't let Captain John Carneglia take a plea deal or any other members of his crew. John Carneglia was scolded by Gotti with no empathy or consideration when Carneglia talked to Gotti about a possible plea deal that would allow Carneglia to spend one last Christmas before going to the joint for a very long time. He was finally released as an elderly man. Casso would take over New York's mafia underworld as he used his crystal ball to see all, also known as his mafia cops, with Casso now having access to NYC police files inside the NYC police database. He truly did have a crystal ball. By making the mafia cops a part of his crew, he could go into an NYC police department database and see who was snitching on him and the family. In 1974, Anthony "Gas Pipe" Casso became a made man in the Lucchese crime family. Vic Amuso was made in 1977. In 1986, Casso becomes capo.
Casso became consigliere in 1987, then in 1989 became underboss of the Lucchese family. In 1991, Casso ran Lucchese as acting boss, with boss of the family Vic Amuso in prison, and Casso still on the run but still operating the family.
Casso killed Russian gangsters who interfered with other Russian gangsters he protected under his Italian-American mafia umbrella, known as the infamous Lucchese family. He killed a Russian gangster named Vladimir for pressing and testing someone he was connected to and making large amounts of money with. So Casso acted and whacked Vladimir, as he would tell the court system when he testified against the mafia and other organized criminal enterprises. Casso would refer to the Russians as good businessmen and would inform the government that the Gambinos had ties to some Russian gangster murders. The Russian mafia would approach Casso for protection against the Gambino family and other rival Russian gangsters. Casso was greatly feared by the Gambinos and other families in New York. His name ringed bells, and his ruthless reputation was enough to keep other gangsters from messing with those protected under the wing of Casso. Casso would explain to the government as he flipped exactly how he was made into the Lucchese crime family. In 1988, each mafia family had its own Russian gas crew. Casso would explain as he testified to the government about organized crime. Casso would indicate to the court systems that the Russian gangsters would use violence against each other, but not against the Lucchese crime family. When Casso was nabbed by the FBI after going on the run, he was found hiding at a girlfriend's house in Mount Olive, New Jersey. The FBI caught Casso off guard stepping out of a shower. He was put into handcuffs and hauled away. Despite what some may think, other mafia families did not hate each other. Plenty made money together, for example, but before the unsanctioned hit of Big Paul Castellano, you could find the Gambinos and Lucchese doing solid work together, and both Casso and Gotti are feared, as well as Amuso and Gravano were also very feared leaders. Two of the most powerful bosses and underbosses in the New York mafia underworld, known as La Cosa Nostra, or Thing of Ours. Episode 3 of the Casso Files coming soon. Subscribe to the channel for free, and if you would like, click that button that says Join, and pick out a membership that works for you and cancel at any time. Receive unreleased content and more. Also, feel free to donate using the Super Thanks icon. Link to donate seen here, and also can be found on my channel's bio. Thank you for all the support.